Boom, boom. This is Kenya, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. All right, we got Azur laying on tap today. So we've got a new event up. Stars of the Shimmering Forge. Here it is. So it's a pretty nice little event. It's about the Battle of Narvik. You know, the Germans take over Narvik. HMS, British Navy goes up and clears them out, is what happened. All of the German destroyers were sank. I believe the fleet that actually did it, British Navy, was led by Warspite. They all went up in there and they just sunk them all. So this, well, I assume that doesn't. I don't think that takes place in this actual part of the event. I think this is just the first part where the German destroyers all went in and took it over. Took over the Narvik Bay. So when they went up and sunk the cannon at the island that was in the center, and then proceeded to take over Narvik Bay. So that's what this event is about. They've got the items up for the previous. So the Shures Over Iron and Blood, you can still utilize the rewards that you got. You can't. The event's closed, so you can't earn anymore. So if you want to do that, unfortunately, you can't. But if you got some items to collect, you can do that. And then, of course, the shops are still open, both for the Eagle's plumes and for the coat of arms. So make sure you use these before the 9th. So you've got about 5 days before the event stores will close. So make sure that you use all them. There is no event store for this event that's up. This is just a sort of what I like to call a precursor event. So what we've got here is we've got 2 ships. 3 actually, that you can get your hands on here. So the first way to get those is through the event. Stars of the Shimmering Forge, as I said. So that's just HMS Hardy, okay? Now you get HMS Hardy by going, you get a clear event stage SP3, and then after you've cleared it, you need to do it 60 times, and you can get Hardy. Now that is that's a lot of time. It's a lot of running to do, but you can also get lucky and build her. You can build her in Z2 under the light construction. Make sure that you choose light construction. And right there is Hardy in Z2. And these are both related to the event, so you can get them here. So you might want to try to do the 60 times on SP3 just in case you don't get lucky in the build. But if you don't have a lot of time, you might want to just focus on the building and try to build as much as you can to make sure that you do get her. If you're trying to, you know, if you're from my Angel Connectionist, that's what I'll try to do. So I'll try to get her both ways. You know, and if I manage to get lucky and build her, then you don't have to worry about completing SP3 60 times. Okay. But as you play the event stages, you get a chance to get Z2. She has a drop, and I haven't had her drop yet, but she will drop, and probably in SP3. Okay, so the other part is the Hunter of the Forge, and this is the second ship, which is HMS Hunter. Now, as you play the event stages, you'll get friendship points, and once you've got 1,000 of these friendship points, you'll be able to get Hunter. Now, if you run this stage with Hunter in your party, if she's in your fleet, you earn double friendship points. You might want to consider doing that because the friendship points without her, you're like getting 9 and 10. So it's not a whole lot of points. You should have seen Hunter when you logged on to the event. She is an NPC right here, NPC ship. So putting her in the fleet will give you that. She's you know, she's destroyer, so at the start of the battle, she increases this firepower and torpedo decrease every 12 seconds afterwards. So she's definitely going to help at the beginning. She's going to be a little bit powerful, but towards the end, maybe, and not so much powerful. And then the standard all-out assault, which is locked. So as you can see, she's going to have to be a placeholder type thing, but I have not seen where the fleet is that difficult. So I'm just clearing the things right now, and once I get to that, whether or not I'll decide whether or not I want to put her in, whether or not it's worth it. But I'm almost up to SP3. So let me show you the event here, because the event stage is a tad bit different than normal. Now, if you understand the Battle of Narvik, the actual German fleet went up in there and took over Narvik Bay, but in their way was a cannon. As you can see right here, they put cannons in the actual event stage. So you can basically just get beside one of the cans and take it out, and that'll clear. Now, if you run through these right here, you'll get bombarded with shells. It does a little bit of damage, not a whole bunch. Let me show you here. Let me switch these fleets just down here, and we'll just go ahead and run into the way of one of these cannons here, and I'll show you what happens. So as you can see, we get an artillery bombardment. Boom. Okay, and it does a little bit of damage. Okay, as you can see, it really didn't do much damage because this is a max fleet, so it's really a pittance of damage. But still, it's there. Now, one of the things you do if you get hit with it, it can slow you down a little bit, and you won't be able to move as much turns within the actual screen because it slows you down. I mean, the first time I did it, when I was going through it, I ran through it and I got hit by like 3 times just to see how long it would take before the damage, and I was only able to move 1 block at a time after that. So you might want to take that into effect, but it's not like I think that might become prevalent later into the actual event. So this is it's SP0, SP1, SP2 is what I'm on right now. To get the ship, you got to go to SP3. Then once you get to SP3, you got to clear it 60 times, which is quite a bit. But fortunately, you can get it in the build, so it's not like it's something that's going to cause a horrendous amount of problems for the time being. So let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and finish clearing this out. But yeah, so just get to SP3. It's not difficult. It's not high level at all. I'm running this on auto, and this is my KMS fleet. As you know, I'm working on FDG right now. I mean, I'm going to get Hunter and Hardy and try to get Z2, which are the ships for the event. I'm not going to focus on building them up right now because none of them would be helpful in any of my fleets at this point. I'm in in-game, so really having low-level ships. I am considering probably what I'll do after I get FDG and start working on her is I might just build a secondary HMS fleet, because as you know, my primary HMS fleet is I have Queen Elizabeth as a flagship for the buff. I flank her with Hood, Warspite, and then run on the front Vanguard. I run Edinburgh and Belfast on the flanks, and then I put Javelin in the center for the torp damage. And by alternating the auxiliary equipment on that, I can use it as a PvE fleet or a PvP fleet, but it's more designed for PvP. And then I have my primary fleet, which is what I use for clearing up higher levels, and that's this fleet right here. As I call this, my US thing, and it's got Monarch. Monarch is a priority ship, Saratoga, and then we've got Centaur in the back line. Then we've got Shiro, Bremerton, and San Diego for anti-air, because in-game a lot of air superiority is important in that. So that's what I run as my primary fleet. But the problem, I got King George from the previous event, Scherzo of Iron and Blood. I got King George, and during that event they had a limited time wishing well build. You should have used that, where you could pick 2 ships that you would get an elevated build rate on. I chose the Duke of York and I chose Graf Spee, and I got both of them, thankfully. I've been trying to get Duke of York for so long, and I finally did. Thankful to that wishing well option, which was very good. I got both of the ships that I was trying to get, and I needed both of them. So that allowed me to get Duke of York. So now I have King George and Duke of York. So I was actually thinking about maybe making up a second HMS fleet. As something. I'm focusing on my this fleet right now, and I'm focused on that because you got to build like 3.5 million experience before you can for FDG. I've got everything else completed. All the other options are completed. It's just now focusing on the experience, and you have to run a KMS ships to actually get the experience. So it just takes it's going to take a long time. So I'll probably get burnt out on the KMS fleet before I finish. I'm going to try not to, so I might take a break So I might throw in a little bit of HMS action in there, and form an HMS fleet which is more PvE centric. Because while that PvP fleet that I'm using, it's a little annoying to have to switch the auxiliary items, to actually get it to the point where it's something that you want to focus on. 18 to 30. So yeah, I'm gonna have to clear some more. So I might do that, and maybe having throw Duke of York in there. Maybe use King George as the flagship, or maybe just use continue to use Queen Elizabeth as a flagship, and maybe just put Warspite, because Warspite's excellent in PvE as well as PvP. And then maybe use one of those 2 other ships for the Vanguard. And we'll have to see, but it gives me a little bit more options to really focus on building a PvE centric fleet. I don't really think the back fleet. The problem with the back fleet in PvP is it's all battleships. Warspite Hood and the Queen Elizabeth really doesn't do much in terms of a lot of your damage comes from carriers. So having something like that, a carrier in the backfield, which again doesn't leave you much options in terms of what HMS offers in terms of, they got a couple carriers. I don't know if any of them are something that I want to focus on using for a PvP, but definitely something that I may be able to make a PvE fleet. That would be good. Frontline, Belfast, you could obviously carry her over, as well as Javelin. And Edinburgh is pretty good. She's a pretty good tank, even though she's only an epic ship. She does pretty good in terms of tanking. She can take a lot of damage, which is one of the reasons the PvP fleet, HMS PvP fleet, combined with the bombardment that Warspite and Hood are putting out. When you flank her with, they just do a ton of damage and take ships out pretty quick. So, but I might look at something like that. But yeah, I think I might go ahead and look into an HMS and see what I can do in terms of PvE, to switch to, that way to avoid having to switch the fleet around, switch all the auxiliary items out. Because I put extinguishers and stuff like that in when I'm going into PvP to prevent the burning damage. It allows for a little bit more on the survival. It allows them to stay up alive longer. And it reduces the burning damage and whatnot, so it helps out quite a bit. So that's what it is. So as you can see, it's not that much of an intense SP. The SP3 bits, they're not that bad. You should be able to get through as long as you have a fairly decent fleet. Make sure it's got some good composition. My current this is my in-game fleet, was I took you aboard. This has got Nishiro, Bremerton, and San Diego, and then Saratoga, Centaur, and Monarch in the center, as she does a ton of damage. This is my HMS. This is the fleet that I use for PvP and PvE at this time. Warspite Hood with Queen Elizabeth in the center, Belfast, Javelin, and Edinburgh. And as you can see, all 3 of these ships are battleships, so there's nothing in terms of air carrier. Carriers really do a lot of damage, and you need to have, really having a carrier in your backfield is the best way to go in PvE, to get rid of those mobs pretty quick. But I can alternate the auxiliary equipment on here and make them PvE viable. And they've cleared areas in 12, so I don't see where they work out. But I might be able to do something a little bit better now that I've got Duke of York and King George. So this is the KMS fleet, German fleet that I'm working on right now. It's very limited. Okay, there's not a lot of ships. You've got Bismarck, which you got in the previous events, and you got Tirpitz, and then I'm using Graf Zeppelin. She's carrier, only carrier that the Germans had. She actually really didn't engage in much in terms of the actual war. I think she was actually sunk in dock, actually, or disassembled in dock. I don't think she was completed before the war ended. I believe that World War II came to an end, and she still had been in dock, or she was just been completed in did something and needed some repairs and was, but I'm pretty sure she was in dock when the war ended, so that she was just dismantled. They never did. I don't think they ever did finish it. I know they really didn't focus on carriers too much. They were just focusing on their large battleships in terms of Bismarck and Tirpitz. Two of the most powerful battleships ever built at the time, and both, of course, were sank by the British Navy. And then I've got Z-23 and a Rune. Rune is a priority ship to Series 1. The first priority ship you should focus on in Series 1 is Monarch. She is the most powerful ship for that. She's still top 5 ship. After that, go for Rune, okay, because Rune could really help. Now if you're already going to focus, if you're just starting on your priority ships and you're going to focus on a KMS fleet, then you want to go for Rune first because she's a KMS ship. But then there's not ships, and then you've got Prince Eugen. So these are the ships that you've got. Now, if you take in terms of what you got in terms of German fleet, you don't really have a whole lot of options. Iron Blood. Okay, so that's got the British Navy in there as well too, just Iron Blood. So as you can see, you don't have a whole lot of terms of SR ships, high quality ships. None of these ships are bad, don't get me wrong, but none of these ships are really in-game viable in terms of what they can do. I wanted Admiral Graf Spee because at the time I was going with Graf Spee at the same time that I was going for Bismarck. I wanted to have another ship that I could throw in there. So Graf Spee, she's a pretty good in terms of what she's got firepower wise. She is a pocket battleship, but she can do some pretty good damage. Plus, she looks cool. So, but so as you can see, this is a pretty good fleet. Bismarck is a flagship. She gives buffs to KMS ships. She has a special prevalence with the Tirpitz, and she does give a carrier buff. So she works on Graf Zeppelin. So this is an extremely good fleet in terms of comprehensive. Rune, it really makes the fleet because of the damage. She can do a massive amount of damage, and that's what it was lacking, was damage. Tirpitz was good in terms of damage. Okay, she's a good damage for the backfield, but that's really all they had in terms of damage. You can't have one ship doing good damage and expect to get in-game levels, 12 and 13. It just ain't gonna happen. You need multiple ships that can do a high level damage. You're gonna have Tirpitz, gonna have Rune, and I'm gonna have FDG. And once I have FDG, which is the highest damage dealing ship in the game, bar none, you'll be able to get through in-game with the KMS fleet. So that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm focusing on it. So let's take a look at FDG, if you will. Now, FDG is not something that you can build in a few months. FDG is a long-term project. It may take me close to a year to completely finish the build, simply because of the fact of obtaining blueprints for FDG is not easy. Even with the new capabilities that they've added into collection of blueprints, it's still going to take a really long time. So let's go into the lab and let's go into the shipyard. So here's FDG. As you can see, I've got everything completed except for, that's right, you guessed it, the data collection. So your first data collection is 1.2 million. I've got that 59% complete, so I've urged roughly about 700,000 or so. But the second one is bigger, and it is 2.4 million. So as you can see, it's going to take some time. But I've got everything else completed. I've spent the money throughout all the wisdom cubes that was required, all the blueprints that were required, and I've got that. So I'm ready. Once I get started on her, and we'll start doing that. I've got some blueprints, not a lot. I've been collecting them as I go along, and then we'll get it. But as you can see, she's just the skill set she has. She's just damage, crit damage, crit increases, reload time, speed, firing more damage, and then she applies a buff. So when firepower increases fire, decreases damage taken. Okay, so she's basically power, and she can stay alive. So what can you say? Um, so definitely, she S rank on firepower and hit points. So as you can see, um, she's a powerful ship. She's the most powerful ship in the game right now. There's nothing on PR3 that can come close. PR1, Monarch, and Rune do pretty good damage, and but they're not as powerful. Um, Georgia, Georgia in Seattle can deal out some pretty good damage too. Georgia, especially, she's an excellent nuker. But FDG is just, in terms of FDG, is just better in terms of firepower. So I do have Georgia. I completed her. Still working on getting. I got to get the blueprints and stuff for her. Right now, I'm focusing on getting Rune completed. I'm doing the fate simulation for Rune. You know, one of the drawbacks of the priority ships are luck. They have 0 luck. But if you run the fate simulation, you can get them some luck. So it's the second part here. So I'm almost finished with it. And once I do, I'll switch over to focusing specifically on getting Georgia up to speed, so I can start flowing her into my another fleet that I'm going to be creating for in-game. Because I want to have at least 5 in-game fleets, all of different factions. Is my goal in the long run. IGN, I can't get Kaga and Akagi. Putting them in 3-4 with the drop rate that low is just not kosher. I've run it so many times, and I've gotten Kaga. I got her twice, but I've never gotten Akagi, and I just got burned out running the level. So with all the events going on, it's difficult to find time to actually get in there and do that while you're doing the events at the same time. So it is what it is. But I'm hoping they'll have an event somewhere where maybe they increase the drop rate on 3-4 for a limited time or something where people can run it and maybe get a chance. But if not, I might in the future, after I get done with all my KMS fleet, I might switch into something IGN related if I can manage to spend a little bit of time running 3-4 to hopefully get a Akagi. But it is what it is. So that's what I'm doing. So that's where we're at right now. So, but yeah, that event is up. So you want to get in there if you want to get the 2 ships, Hunter and HMS Hardy. They are H class is what they call themselves in the event, and you can also get them get Z2 in the actual build. So it's a pretty good event in reference to the Battle of Narvik. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe they'll continue with it in the next event. And continue with it, and we'll see what goes on. Okay, so thanks a lot for watching. Remember to go ahead and put a like on it if you like it, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Once you subscribe, click on the little bell ding ding beside that, and you'll be able to get notifications whenever I drop a video. So this is Kenrick coming at you from the corner, signing out.